artificial intelligence, big data, the Internet of Things, amazing innovations in biomedicine and transportation. You see really a different kind of technological advancement in Hoboken. This wonderful city has become an attractive home for many high technology startup companies and also for established technology-based businesses. This wonderful city has become combination of a trendy urban environment, which I'm sure the mayor agrees, a prestigious technology university that just last week graduated 1,800 talented, all technology-savvy students, and a supportive environment makes for all the factors that we need to continue to make Hoboken a hub for technological innovation in the years to come. So, it is with great enthusiasm that I welcome Governor Murphy to Stevens. Programs like those that he will announce in a couple of minutes are vital elements in a multi-pronged effort to make New Jersey a supportive environment for the highly skilled STEM workforce that our state needs to reclaim its place as an innovation leader. We are all excited to work together with the governor, with local and state leaders, and with industry partners to make New Jersey a national success story in reestablishing our rightful heritage as an innovation-based economy. Governor Murphy, thank you for your leadership on this critically important initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Governor Murphy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Man, thank you. Thank you, thank you. What a way to kick off the week after Memorial Day. I trust everyone had a good holiday, and I hope that all of us took time to reflect upon the sacrifices made by our men and women in uniform, both current and past. And I hope no one caught pneumonia given the weather on Sunday and Monday. Mr. President, if only, by the way, thank you for your welcoming us to Stevens Institute of Technology. I want to make sure you're still awake out there. As you said, you and I met a couple of years ago. I think it was at least 2 years ago, and it is great to be back. This institution is globally recognized, and for good reason. Many of the highly skilled women and men we will need to reclaim New Jersey's place as the home of the innovation economy are being educated right here in Hoboken. And by the way, this is not somebody who, getting to know him over the past couple of years, this is not somebody for whom this is abstract. He himself has founded at least 2 companies and is the personal owner of a whole range of patents himself. So you are not asking anyone at this great institute to do something that you're not already doing yourself. It's an honor also to be here with members of my team, our Acting Secretary of Higher Education, Zakiya Smith-Ellis, right here in the front row, David Socolow, Executive Director of the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. I'm the only person who ever spells out HESA, but that's what that is. Economic Development Authority Executive Director Tim Sullivan. I was told that Department of Education Chief of Staff Kelly Ledette is here. Kelly, I don't see Kelly. And I know Rob Acero Angelo, our Labor Commissioner, is en route. I'm incredibly honored to be joined by my friends to my left, Senator Paul Sarlo and Assemblyman Andrew Zwicker, 2 strong voices in the legislature for growing the innovation economy. Thank you guys for being here today. Also, Mr. Mayor, as always, it's an honor to be in Hoboken. So, Ravi, thank you for hosting us. Freeholder Romano, great to see you. Assemblyman Mukherjee, always an honor to have you with us as well. As I mentioned, Stevens is one of the premier places where tomorrow's leaders are learning the skills they will need to be successful and to change our world. Moreover, 57% of the undergraduate, there's Rob, come on down, man. We got a seat for you right here. Good morning, by the way. Rob, how was the weekend? Everything good? Family? Good. We'll get caught up in a minute. Excuse us, 57% of the undergraduate student body at Stevens is from New Jersey. That's a big deal and a big point. And if we are to grow the innovation economy again, we cannot lose them after they graduate. I don't want other places to prosper from the skills they are learning here. I want them, I suspect we all want them, to stay here to become part of that stronger side of the stronger and fairer New Jersey that we're trying to build. I want them to raise their families and stay in New Jersey. Throughout the campaign and again in my budget address, I discuss my desire to keep more of our STEM college graduates here in New Jersey, to be part of our economic future. And today I'm really pleased to unveil the details, some of the details of that plan. Our administration has identified STEM occupations which are projected to experience rapid job growth. In fact, I have them in my pocket here if you want me to list all 16 of them. From software developers to operations research and computer systems analysts to hydrologists and geoscientists. That's what I'm trained in. That's not true. Again, just making sure you're all with us here. To energy-based fields, to biochemists and biophysicists, among those 16. These are the jobs we need to capture to build New Jersey's future, to not only pull more of these jobs to New Jersey, but also to keep the New Jerseyans training for these jobs here. We will undertake a two-track approach. One is a STEM loan forgiveness program, and the other is a paid STEM internship program. So for the first one, for New Jersey residents who graduate with a degree in a high-growth STEM occupation and who stay in a job for 4 years, our loan forgiveness program would provide in years 5, 6, 7, 8, assuming that they stay in that job, $1,000 annually to defray their outstanding student loans. Further, we would ask employers to at least match this annual award, or otherwise in some form in kind partner with us, to provide a total benefit over years 5, 6, 7, 8 of $8,000. And this is not, we're not trying to be George Washington here. A lot of private sector firms are stepping up already and doing what we're suggesting here. Given that the average New Jersey college grad leaves school with student debts totaling just under $30,000, this program, needless to say, if you take $8,000 off the top, could help wipe away a significant percentage of the outstanding balances. Even when fully engaged by the year 2025, we estimate this loan forgiveness program would only cost the state a little bit more than $12 million annually. We think a small down payment for the tremendous overall economic benefit these employees and employers, I might add, would return. As I said, this is not a new concept. We pride ourselves on ripping good ideas off from other people and seeing whether or not there's an applicability in New Jersey and tweaking them if we think there are. So for instance, the Bank of North Dakota, some of you may remember that it's a favorite bank of mine, offers a STEM occupations student loan program. And additionally, hundreds of corporations, as what I mentioned a minute ago, also now offer what they refer to, broadly speaking, as education debt benefits. And by the way, this is building. Not everybody in the world offered on day one health insurance. In fact, some places still don't, or paid vacation, or paid sick leave, or what other benefit you can think of. So these things over time evolve. And right now you're seeing, because of the student debt burden coming out of college, you're seeing this particular benefit evolve quite rapidly in the private sector. We want to accelerate that. These companies get what it takes to attract and retain the right talent. Once again, we're looking to take what already works elsewhere and bring it to work in New Jersey. I am particularly honored that to announce that Senator Sarlo and Assemblyman Zwicker have agreed to sponsor the legislation necessary to turn this idea into a reality. I thank you guys both for your leadership and your commitment to not only helping us strengthen and grow our innovation economy, but also to keep our best and brightest here at home. So thank you guys. Our second initiative would create paid STEM internships through the New Jersey Career Accelerator Internship Program, which we have put and proposed in our budget. Under our proposal, the Department of Labor, under Rob's leadership, Department of Labor and Workforce Development, because it's the workforce development piece here that's the important part, would target this STEM internship program at first-time interns across the state and reimburse employers for up to half the wages paid to new interns, up to $1,500 each. This would basically triple a program that is already in place, but also tailor it specifically to STEM internships. The fact is that internships have become a prerequisite for employment in many STEM fields, and statistics suggest that up to half of these interns are eventually offered jobs at the companies in which they interned. This is a tried and true path, and it's becoming more of a rigid path. You get the internship, the president knows this, and the chances are meaningful that that's the place you'll go back and work full-time once you graduate. However, when internships are unpaid, a lot of the great potential employees are not identified because they can't afford it. Not every student has the financial means to take an unpaid internship. This internship program has the ability to not only introduce untapped talent to employers, but also to increase the diversity of the STEM workforce, because by definition, we will reach folks who otherwise would not have been looking at internships because they couldn't afford it, among other things. I want to add my voice to the president's to say I'm excited to have Chris Sullins here to support our efforts. If you don't know Chris, he's the CEO of WorkWave, one of the innovation leaders putting their roots down in New Jersey. In his case, at the exciting new Bell Works in Homedale. And if you don't know what that is, that's the former Bell Labs. And it rises out of the fields like Oz. It's an extraordinary building. I think it's within 100,000 square feet of the Empire State Building. It's been repurposed. I visited it not too far distant from when you and I first met, and it is booming. Chris's company, WorkWave, is a fast-growing company, and WorkWave, like many others, will need these employees to stay strong. So I thank him and WorkWave for stepping up to be a leader and a model corporate citizen. These are the types of forward-looking partnerships between the public and private sector we will need to get our innovation economy to the place we know it can and should be. Innovation is in our state's DNA. This is not an unnatural act for us. Stevens is not in New Jersey and Hoboken by accident. We're trying to reclaim that space. We know we have everything innovative companies want, beginning with one of the nation's most highly skilled workforces. That's thanks to places like Stevens. And now our goal is to make sure this workforce has the opportunities to make it right here in New Jersey, and that will be up to all of us. It is now my pleasure to ask Chris Sullins to come on up and say a few words. Chris, great having you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor Murphy, and thanks for having me. You know, what Governor Murphy's talking about is music to companies like ours ears. You know, we have grown rapidly. Just to give you a couple of data points. So over the last 10 years, we've added 270 employees to our company. Well over 200 of those are here in New Jersey. We make software for field service companies and logistics companies. So the kinds of employees that we need are the STEM-based employees, both entry-level as well as experienced employees. And that's what's allowed us to fuel our growth. We've grown our revenue 800% over the last 10 years. And as we look forward, the challenge for us is we fully expect to double or triple our revenue over the next 3 to 5 years. But to do that, we need employees. And we have a great base of employees here. We have a great school system here that's developing those employees. But it's still very hard for us to find. So when I look out over the next 3 to 5 years and think about trying to find 200, 300, 400, 500 employees to help us fuel that growth, they've got to come from somewhere. And they should come from here in New Jersey. And so the combination of being able to partner with the state to allow our high school employees, high school students to choose STEM degrees first and foremost. But second, once they have those degrees, to stay here in New Jersey and work with companies like ours to help us develop. That's the fuel that allows us to continue to grow. It's the fuel that allows New Jersey to continue to grow. And so I'm very excited to partner with Governor Murphy and the team to be able to build these kind of programs here in New Jersey. So thank you.
Chris. I'd love to ask a friend, Deputy Majority Leader, Chairman of the Budget Committee, a guy who understands engineering in his own life. If that weren't enough, a mayor, please welcome Senator Paul Sarlo.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Mr. President, and to the faculty and to the students and the extended family here at Stevens. Thank you for having us. I've been on this campus many, many times, and it's an amazing place not only to work but to be educated, and it's one of the finest research universities we have here, not only in the state but in this country. So it's an honor to be here. Anytime I walk into a university that has engineering curriculum, I get excited. I'm an engineer. I'm a professional engineer by trade. I know we have a physicist by trade. There's not many of us in the STEM field in the legislature. There's a few of us, and that's why we're standing here with our governor, because we get excited when we hear programs such as this. In my current role, when I'm not being a senator or chairman of the Senate Budget Appropriations Committee, in my company as a CEO of a large heavy highway construction company, we're doing that paid internship of $15 already with many of our universities, not just here in the state, but outside the state. We always employ 5 to 6. So it's encouraging to see the governor now using the power of the governor's office to go out and promote this and encourage other companies to do the same. It's the right thing to do. As the budget chairman, we spend more money K through 12 than most states across the country. And it's the right thing to do. That's why we live here. That's why we choose to live here in New Jersey. But we have a brain drain. Many of our students, we lose many of those students, and they go out because perhaps they say it's too expensive to live here, and we lose them to other states. What we are proposing here is an amazing way to keep some of our best and our brightest in the STEM field right here in New Jersey. And as a budget chairman, the first question I always ask is, how much is this going to cost? In this particular legislation, the question I'm going to ask is, how much money are we going to generate from the income and the capital that we're going to create by retaining these students here in the state of New Jersey? Because after year 8, hopefully they're going to begin to think about raising a family, purchasing a home. They're going to be spending money here in the state of New Jersey. So the question is not how much is this going to cost us. The question should be is how much are we going to generate from these dynamic young researchers, dynamic young engineers, dynamic young programmers, by keeping them here in the state of New Jersey. So I am very excited about this legislation. The Assemblyman and I promise we'll work together to get this through the legislature in lightning speed and get it to the governor's desk. Thank you again for having me, and I am a friend of the STEM community, always have been and always will be. God bless you all.
Hello, Kelly. I was looking for you. Kelly Lidette's with us. Paul, thank you for those words and for your leadership on this and so many things. And you need both chambers and a governor in the way our state government works, and that's the way it should be. So we all have to get stuff done together. And this is a good example of that. And with Paul's leadership in the Senate, he needs a comrade in the Assembly. And he couldn't have a better one in Assemblyman Andrew Zwicker, who is, as Paul noted, is a physicist. So this is not foreign terrain for him either. Does extraordinary work in the Assembly, in particular in the leadership economy, in the innovation economy, pardon me, as a leader. So please, let's get it up for Assemblyman Andrew Zwicker.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the Governor and Senator, Mr. President, for having me here. This is actually a bit of a homecoming for me. I've been collaborating with Stevens in my role as a physicist and as the head of science education at the Plasma Physics Laboratory at Princeton for about 20 years. So it's good to see some old colleagues here that we've been working for quite a long time on internships and developing this innovation economy that the Governor is talking about. You know, so what we see when you talk about internships is what happens afterwards. And through my job, we've been studying what happens to internships and paid internships. And on average, about 90%, at least the ones that we study, who get an internship, they stay in a STEM field. So if we really want to retain and keep the best and the brightest, that piece of this is critically, critically important. The other one, when it comes to loan forgiveness, we all know, I'm the father of 3, the high cost of sending our kids to college. Every single thing that we can possibly do, especially among these growing fields, is critical, though, Mr. Governor. I didn't hear plasma physics in your list of things. Well, Senator, can we negotiate that later?
Yes. That's item 17.
But the other piece of this, which is really critical, and Senator Sarlo mentioned this, is this pipeline. Because what we understand is that once we get our young people into our pipeline, they will stay here. So every last little bit that we can do, and I'll give you an example. At Princeton last week, and the First Lady was there, we brought 700 young women who are interested in STEM together for a single-day conference to meet successful women at early, mid, and late stage parts of their career, because we know as we attract them into the STEM economy, they will stay in the STEM economy. New Jersey has one of the most, not just educated, one of the most diverse workforces in the entire country, and it is critical that we make sure that we leave nobody behind in this. So both of the pieces of legislation that we're talking about today will do exactly that. And so I just want to thank you, Governor, for making this really, a key piece of your agenda, and very much looking forward to working with Senator Sarlo. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Andrew. Just so that we don't discriminate against a particular type of physicist, physicists are in as a general line item.
All right, fair enough.
Secondly, I don't want to riff on one point. We'll take a couple of questions before we break, if that's okay with everybody. Brookings did a study on the innovation economy, and they call it something else. I forget what Brookings calls the innovation economy. They've got a different name for it. And what they look at to see how you're doing is to see whether or not you have, not in the broad stroke industry definitions, but in the definitions such as the ones we're talking about today, whether or not your state has 1.5 times the average employment in that industry area as compared to the other 49 states. So let's say plasma physicists is an example. If you've got 150 people working in plasma physics in your state, and the average in America is 100, then you get a gold star for that. You with me? And this is just in the innovation field. In 1980, we had 16 of those sub-industries. Today, we have 4. So we had 16 38 years ago. We now have 4. There's no rhyme. The good news is Brookings, like McKinsey and other organizations, have concluded there's no rhyme or reason why we can't reclaim that space. So these are not gone forever. That's what our team spends an enormous amount of time on reclaiming. But that's to give you some sense of the magnitude of what we had that was our natural DNA and that we've lost. And like a lot of things in life, you take stuff for granted that you assume you'll always have. And I think it's fair to say New Jersey took a lot of that advantage for granted. Other states, I'll give you an example, Tennessee has scrapped into that innovation economy in that space from nothing because they didn't have it and they were hungry. It's like a sports team that you're not in the playoffs, you're going to get that hunger and always strive to get to the next level. And we got complacent, and it's time to reset that, and these 2 programs, God willing, could be a big piece in that direction. Thank you, everybody, again. A couple of questions from the press, and then Michael, how are you? I do, Michael. It's going to be an increase from $1.5 million a year from the program we already have up to $4.5 million a year. Among friends. Yeah. So the answer is really a different answer for each of the programs, and I think these guys wouldn't be here if we didn't have more than broad agreement that this is what we all wanted. This is legislation that these gentlemen are willing to sponsor. The actual expenditures don't begin until 2022, because people have to work in these firms for 4 years until they get to year 5. But we all think we need legislation, and we also think it's sooner than later is better. The $4.5 million for the paid internship program, Michael, is in our proposed budget. And I think we actually haven't spoken at length about it privately, but that's one we all feel. I'm going to echo what Paul said. on stuff like this, you're looking for what's the return on investment, how much are we going to get back in the state, as opposed to how much does it cost. Matt. Yeah, I thought that was an aggressive characterization of life. This was in response to the horse's head, perhaps, that the Senate President had sent me. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so I'd say two things. One is I'm a big fan of Tom's, but I don't agree with him with his characterization at all in terms of the dynamic. Secondly, we had our meeting. It lasted a good hour, and it was quite productive, but we all agreed we weren't going to talk about what happened in it. But, you know, we're not there yet, but again, in baseball terms, we may have turned to the top of the sixth. I've been in the fifth inning for a couple of my answers, so I'll admit we might be in the top of the sixth, but it was a very good discussion, very open on both expenditure and on revenue, and we're going to continue those discussions both at the principal level and at the working group level. Please. We don't get involved in a big fan of Brian's. He's a great mayor. He's a great senator. Nobody flies closer to the ground in terms of knowing what his constituents need or want, but we don't get in the middle of that. Please. I mean, I haven't seen it, but it's pretty darn disturbing based on what I've heard. Again, I have not seen the video, but it is quite disturbing based on the description I've heard. Like everything else in life, the overwhelming percentage of folks in any line of business, certainly in folks who protect us, are extraordinary. Several of them are in the room with us today. But if you see an example of excess force, you got to pursue and figure out why the heck that happened, because based on everything I've heard, it was pretty darn disturbing. Please. The only amount of time that is required as part of this is that you're in that company for 8 years. So the first 4 years you have to earn your way in, and then you get the forgiveness in 5, 6, 7, 8. I should also point out that some of the private sector partners, Chris is a good example of this, they'll be doing things in years 1 through 4. So we're focused, we have, I will admit to you, I have a hyper focus, I think we all do, on retention. If we had more money, if we had more latitude, we'd probably get at it earlier, but retention and having that carrot is a big part of our objective here. I mean, I don't. I mean, there are avenues that exist for things like that, and I hope they're pursued with speed and we come to some resolution. I do not beyond that. Michael. So we were supposed to do one, just to recap. I know everyone's on the edge of their seat here at Stevens on this. We were supposed to do an Ask the Governor on public radio last Thursday evening. We were all set. Cabinet members had that on their calendar. Everybody was going to listen in. We promise if somebody raises a concern that's specific, we say we'll get back to you within 24 hours, either me personally or one of the leaders. We were all set to go. We had thought we had resolved the question, which was the dispute on the vision for that program. I think it's fair to say, I said this Friday, I'd stick with this. Their vision of the program was meet the press. Ours was ask the governor. We're with the press a lot, as we are right now, which I enjoy. But this was a chance for unfiltered, the 9 million residents to be able to call up and say, listen, I got a problem with X or Y. Public radio, by the way, has Nancy was going to host it. We have no issue with that. She's terrific. But they added another reporter. Again, I've got no issue with the other reporter. But come on, I mean, this is a chance. We've got opportunities like this to engage. I'm sorry? No, we're trying to figure out how we go forward. We've actually added and asked the governor this Thursday at 2 o'clock at 101.5. which will be my second appearance on 101.5. For all of you who said I wouldn't go on 101.5, this will be my second such program, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, we're still trying to machine the way forward, Michael, and I promise you that when we do, we will let you all know. Matt, maybe one more. Is that all right, Danny? Oh, come on. Paul, this is a good time to say you got a meeting, you got to hop, right?
You knew the press is so tough.
On the former, I forgot the first part of the question. Sorry, the bog turtle threw me so much. Oh, okay. So I'm not sure. I'd ask Zakiya or David or Rob maybe on the internship. The internship is like straight ahead. I think it's fairly plain vanilla. The loan forgiveness is a combination of a private sector model. I remember McKinsey 35 years ago allowed you, if you went back to business school and you went back to them afterward and you had been an intern or a whatever they call them, they would forgive your tuition over years. And then the Bank of North Dakota has got this program. So those are the two. I would normally opine, at least to some degree, on legislation. But I do have an exception, and that is any legislation that relates to reptiles. So I'm going to exercise that right and say thank you all again so much for coming out today, Mr. President, Chris, Paul, Andrew, Ravi, Raj, Stick, Councilwoman. Thank you all.
Governor, they want to take a photo.
Great treat. Thank you very much.
Governor,
Let's go.